right now on News Channel 8 Today at 11.
He tried to snatch her on her way to school. Pasco County deputies now searching for a man they say tried to kidnap this little girl. Right now, we are waiting on the news conference to begin. We're going to take you there live for the very latest.
Deadly plunge. This morning, new details are coming to light about the two people inside this van when it hit the water and sank.
And this morning, fallout from the bombshell firing that no one saw coming. Why some say the president is playing politics with the dismissal of FBI Director James Comey. We're going to take you to Washington to break all of this down. Good morning, I'm Marco Villarreal.
And I'm Stacy Scheibel. Those stories in just a moment. But first, we want to get right to breaking news. A construction worker rescued from a crane in the Channelside district in downtown Tampa.
And Rod Carter joining us now live from the scene. Rod, we're hearing this was some type of medical issue that he had. Is that correct?
That is correct. You know, if there were ever a time to talk about a textbook case of how things work perfectly, this would be it. I want to show you where all of this took place. All right, this is a crane. They're building a Publix down here between Madison and Twiggs, just off Channelside. That is 190 feet up in the air. It's about 19 stories, and that's where all of this happened. Right up at the top of this worker out here suffered some type of medical emergency, so they called immediately for paramedics. And I want to show you what happened. They came in, they put all of the ropes out and the pulleys and that whole system, and then you can see in this video them lowering this guy down bit by bit, very, very, very carefully. Again, if ever there was a textbook case of a perfect rescue, I think this is certainly it. The gentleman was brought down. He was taken to the hospital. You know, you probably see in the video there's a couple of legs dangling off the side of this this stretcher here. That's one of the firefighters from Tampa Fire Rescue. They're right down here in Tampa, in downtown Tampa is where their unit is based out of. We talked to him today about what it was like to hang on the side there and what he was doing that whole time coming down. Take a listen.
Riding it down, just making sure, you know, the patient's safe, making sure that I'm safe, you know, just trying to stay focused on the patient, not down below.
And again, we don't know exactly what that medical emergency is. We do know that the patient, the guy who was brought out, was conscious. He was communicating the entire time. But once again, I want to focus heavily on the fact that these guys, these fire and rescue guys, they train for this every single day. Now, the guy who was hanging on the side there and working with this patient is 30 years old. He's been a firefighter for about 7 years. And this is the first time he's actually ever had to do this, although he said they trained for this time and time again. So again, Marco, Stacey, a very textbook case of how things worked out perfectly, and this gentleman taken to the hospital, and you know, hopefully everyone around here is hoping that he's going to be okay.
That's good stuff. We're so lucky to have all those rescue workers so well trained in our community, and a good news ending. Thank you, Rod.
We really are.
And not only was the rescue perfect, but we had a little bit of perfect weather there for those who were rescuing out there. Thank goodness there's some sunshine and not a lot of wind out there.
Exactly, both things. It was clear, it wasn't raining, it wasn't breezy, so they were able to bring him down so carefully. Outside right now, yeah, not a cloud in the sky. Veterans Ford camera in Tampa, already 82 degrees, though, with that light breeze. Now, the breeze is going to get a little stronger during the afternoon, and that's going to prompt these red flag warnings to go back into effect at noon. The coastal areas you'll see not officially in the red flag warning because you get that moisture kind of coming off the Gulf of Mexico, letting your humidity be a little higher, but then that's the breeze that kicks up, and all of us should refrain from, of course, any outdoor burning because it's not just dry here at the surface. You can look all the way up through the atmosphere and see that it is dry, this bright red color, no moisture in the atmosphere. That's why it's blue sky and hot. 85 already in Tampa. It's just 11:04. 85 in Brooksville, 80 in Waimama. During the afternoon, we'll make it up to 90, which, by the way, was our afternoon high yesterday. So dry and hot days continue, so do our fire danger. Humidity slightly higher on Friday out ahead of a cold front Saturday. Just a small rain chance. We'll talk more about that front coming up.
All right, thank you, Lee. Well, the nation's capital in shock this morning after President Trump abruptly fires FBI Director James Comey. The president relied on a recommendation by the Deputy Attorney General over the handling of Hillary Clinton's email investigation. The firing comes in the middle of the FBI's investigation into Russia's interference during the 2016 election. And this morning, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are offering their reaction to the bombshell announcement. And we're going to head live now to our nation's capital. And News Channel 8's Washington correspondent Mark Meredith. Mark, is the president saying any more about what led him to fire Director Comey all of a sudden?
Marco, this morning it appears the president is going to stay on Twitter, and that's how he's been getting his message out. He hasn't spoken to the media yet, but over in those tweets this morning, he said Americans will eventually thank him for firing Director Comey. However, that is not seeming to stop the critics from coming out this morning on Capitol Hill and beyond. We've heard on the Senate floor this morning, Senate Democrats continue the call for the Justice Department to appoint a special prosecutor to pick up that investigation into what happened between Russia and last year's 2016 presidential election. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic minority leader, saying this is essential if there's going to be any sign that this wasn't a cover-up. Republicans, though, not seeming to budge at this point, saying they believe the FBI is still capable, even with Director Comey out, of picking up the pieces of where this investigation has been going on. And Marco, this is something that we've been following ever since this broke last night. We expect to learn a few more details around 1:30 this afternoon. That's when the White House press briefing is set for today. Marco?
And Mark, we understand the search is now on for a new director of the FBI. Do we have any idea what the long-term impact is going to be when it comes to Comey's firing, or what the politics behind this is?
Well, Marco, you bring up a good point, because it depends on really what the White House's next move is going to be. If they name someone that maybe Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats can get behind pretty quickly, even before confirmation, that may stop some of this outrage that we're seeing right now. But this is also about what Democrats do next. If they're able to get a special prosecutor, this is going to keep this going down the line of the debate. The White House is certainly eager to move on, but I think we'll have to see whether or not the special prosecutor route is taken by the Justice Department. Marco?
All right, we'll continue to watch this. Mark Meredith in Washington, thank you.
Well, we just learned new information about a father and daughter who died in a strange car crash in Venice. Eugene and Carol Hayden were in a van that went off the road and into the water near the South Jetty. As News Channel 8's Ryan Hughes reports, those who knew them said they were down to earth and both loved life.
The dad and daughter lived here at Village on the Isle in Venice, where residents remember them for being friendly, outgoing, and well-respected. Their faces were known around the retirement community, so were their larger-than-life personalities.
Miss Hayden actually had a very strong personal faith. I mean, she was outgoing. I mean, spent most of her time here on the campus with residents. Mr. Hayden had his vocation was an association manager, managing associations. And so there you go. That's the reason why he was such an outgoing person.
Their lives abruptly ended Monday afternoon. Venice police detectives tell us Carol Hayden was driving this minivan when it flew off the road near the South Jetty in Venice and landed in the water. Eugene Hayden was inside. A bystander shot this dramatic video as people jumped into the waterway to help, but they weren't able to get to the father and daughter who drowned as the van went under.
We celebrate lives here. It's in a different fashion for us today because it's a tragic loss, a sudden loss, something that's just so unexpected for us.
Carol and Eugene both attended St. Mark's Episcopal Church. Pastor Keith Bacchus said they were wonderful members.
Our church family also is in shock.
The congregation will try to make sense of it, knowing their sudden deaths defy understanding.
So it's a terrible tragedy, and you have all kinds of questions. And are there answers to them? No.
Reporting in Venice, I'm Ryan Hughes, News Channel 8.
Well, we are still waiting for more details from police about the crash. The retirement community will hold a vigil for the Haydens tomorrow night at 7:30.
Right now, Seminole Middle School parents, they want some big changes. This coming after video of a fight surfaced showing 3 students assaulting 2 school employees. As News Channel 8's Shanna Jones explains, parents are not happy with how the school board is responding.
After that meeting, parents certainly are not getting the changes that they hoped for. Dozens of parents showed up to that meeting voicing their concerns over school violence, and many of them left just as frustrated as they came, saying that the school board is not taking this as seriously as they should. News Channel 8 learned there's been more than 100 calls from the school to the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, many for assault. After this video was released last month, parents are speaking up. One parent told us it was just last week that someone threw a fire extinguisher through a gym window. Assistant Superintendent Bob Poth reassures parents that changes were made immediately following that violent fight. Changes like new dismissal routines and changing seating in the cafeteria. All that aside, parents still say it's not nearly enough.
I have never been present at one of these meetings before. I'm pretty disgusted as how they handled it.
While some small changes have already been made, the board is reviewing all of the facts before they decide if more measures should be taken. In Pinellas County, Jana Jones, News Channel 8.
And Florida's wildfires continuing to affect schools today. Over in Pasco County, River Ridge High and River Ridge Middle will start school at 10:45, so just about 20-30 minutes ago. For the rest of the week, those schools are in Newport Richey. Students will not be done with school until 5:10 p.m. The problem here is smoke from wildfires at the nearby Wilderness Park. Remember, this morning, burn bans are in place for every county in the Bay Area except Pinellas.
And still ahead, firefighters put their lives on the line. Actually, we are going to go to breaking news right now.
Back to Pasco County, that's where deputies are looking for a man they say tried to kidnap a 9-year-old girl this morning.
It happened as that girl was walking home from school. She had to run to keep that man from following her. She was finally able to get inside and lock the door.
And that's where Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco is now talking about this case. Let's listen into what he's saying.
We're on this. We are going to make sure that we do everything possible to protect our children, but we need your assistance right now. So it started yesterday afternoon. It was Tuesday, May 9th, shortly after 3 p.m. Let me just tell you that this is a very smart little girl, 9-year-old victim. She's walking home from Deer Park Elementary. She decides to cut through some neighborhoods. She's around the intersection of Little Creek Drive and Canopy Drive, and this is a gated community. It's Little Creek Gated Community. It's right off Trouble Creek. And so as she's walking, she notices 2 white males. She thinks they're about late teens, early 20s. They start walking towards her. She gets uncomfortable and she does the right thing. She starts running. She runs, and one of the suspects we believe starts chasing after her. So this person, is actually video of this person chasing this little girl. And so she does the right thing. She runs to a neighbor's house. She's hoping this neighbor's home. She's probably praying this neighbor's home. She bangs on the door. Unfortunately, neighbor's not there. She waits there for about a minute. She then proceeds to her own house, and she runs there. She gets to her house, and at that time, one of the people that she says was chasing after her, there's 2 people in a blue vehicle. They drive past her, and they start yelling, "Get in, get in." Tell you how smart this little girl is. She gets inside of her house, and she sets off her home alarm. That is extremely smart. She sets off her home alarm. They notify her. The alarm company notifies her mother. She notifies the Pasco Sheriff's Office. We respond immediately out to the scene. So, subsequent to the investigation, we are looking at several people. We're talking to different people throughout the community. But one thing we want to get out there is that we're looking for a person of interest. And let me make that very clear. This is a person of interest. And as we're talking to different people that we believe may have information, and our detectives are out with them right now. Many detectives are out with different people right now, but there's one person we really want to speak to. His person of interest, his name is Drew Robert Bretnall, Bretnall. He's approximately 6'2", 120 pounds. His date of birth is February 26, 1999. He lives at 12182 Bethwood Avenue, Newport Richey, and it's in the Moon Lake area. Drew, if you're watching this right now, if you're seeing this, we just want to talk to you. We just want to find out some information. We tried to go to his house last night. There was nobody home. And so we really just want to talk to him. The reason why we want to talk to Drew is that as we were looking at different surveillance and some information, there was a video of a blue Toyota Solera that was in the area. The description of the car matches the car that was on surveillance, and his tag was on there. And so it's really kind of coincidental, but we need to talk to him. The other thing is that this little girl, through her bravery, was able to give one of our forensics techs a composite. And when you match the composite next to Drew's, it's very similar. So that's why I keep reiterating, he's a person of interest. We just want to talk to you. Drew, please come to the Pasco Sheriff's Office, talk to us. We want to put the pieces together and find out what happened out there. So as I go back to our members are on this case, for parent security, for your well-being, know that your sheriff's office has extra members that are out there right now. We are going to be at the school bus stops. We're going to be everywhere. Our detectives have worked through the night and haven't stopped and will not stop until we get to the bottom of this. So with that, is there any questions?
Are there 2 suspects or just 1?
During the incident, there was 2 people that were involved, and that's what we want to find out, who the 2 people, who they were, find out their side of the story, but we want to get to the bottom of this.
Sheriff, are you able to share any of that video now so that we can share with the public in your effort to find this man?
We can give you pictures, so we'll provide you some information, but that video is part of the investigation. Whoever was involved, we don't want to tip our hand because we want to ensure that justice is done. But we will get you video. We will be able to share some, not video, we'll be able to share some descriptions and some vehicles that are very similar. But the big thing for us right now, if anybody out there who knows Drew, put it on your social media, put it out there, tell Drew to just come in and talk to us. He's a person of interest, but he may have some critical information that can help us to solve this case.
Can you spell his last name again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Drew, and his last name is, his middle name is Robert, last name is Bretnall, Bretnall.
Does Drew know the little girl?
That's what we need to find out. That's what we need to speak to Drew, and it's a huge part of the case. But let me go back. You know, we often forget about victims in cases. We want to make sure that, you know, this could have been anybody's little girl, and so we need to find justice for her. At the same time, give her kudos because she did the right thing. She did a very smart thing, which a lot of people at home are probably going, that was a smart move by that little girl to pull the alarm, her own home alarm. But we got to make sure for that family that there's justice that's served.
Can you talk about the blue Solara, where the surveillance video was?
Yeah, it was in the vicinity. It was in the housing facility. That's when we saw that we had the surveillance video from within the community that video was seen there.
That's a gated community?
Yes.
So it was inside the gated community?
Yes.
Do we have the tag number at all that we're looking for?
Yeah, we'll make sure we get that out there. Actually, I do Florida tag 922 Romeo Yankee Whiskey, RYW.
You're basically saying his car was spotted. Drew's car was spotted.
It was, yes. Drew's vehicle was in the area at the time, and coincidentally, the vehicle that the victim describes matches Drew's vehicle. So we just need to speak to Drew and find out, you know, why he might have been in the area. Did somebody else have his vehicle? Drew is important. He's a person of interest, and we just need him to come in and talk to us.
Sheriff, does Drew have a criminal record? Anything involving crimes involving children?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
The child gave the sketch?
Yes.
And it matches something similar, you said, to his
You're listening to Sheriff Nocco there in Pasco County talking about a little girl who was on her way home from Deer Park Elementary, got scared
That's why I
when
keep
2
reiterating,
men
Drew,
walked
please.
up to her. She took off running, was able to make it to her home. She said at the time, or the sheriff is saying that at the time, there was a blue car that came up, told her to get into the car. She was smart and set off the alarm in her house.
I know, really good information here. A, the little girl was not kidnapped.
No.
They do have 2 people that they're looking for, but only 1 person of interest. So they have a guy named Drew Robert Bretnall, who's 6'2", 18 years old, lives in Newport Richey. They believe it was his car, and the composite sketch that the little 9-year-old girl gave looks very similar to Drew. So that is the person of interest they're looking for. They're asking Drew Bretnall to come forward and talk to the Sheriff's Department about what happened. But good news here, that little girl was not kidnapped. However, they're still very leery about 2 men out there looking for a little girl.
That's right. So a lot of questions out there. And again, this is just a person of interest. We'll continue to follow this and have more for you in the next half hour on what Sheriff Nocco was breaking this down for us right now. We'll be right back.
Right now on News Channel 8 Today at 11.
This morning, fallout from the bombshell that no one saw coming. Why some say the president is playing politics with the firing of FBI Director James Comey.
And he tried to snatch her on her way to school. Right now, Pasco County deputies are searching for a man they say tried to kidnap a little girl. Plus,
hundreds of kids a day are sent to the ER with injuries sustained while riding a bike, skateboard, or scooter. And a new study finds in a lot of cases, parents may be to blame. I'll explain coming up.
Good morning, I'm Stacy Scheibel.
And I'm Marco Villarreal. We've got those stories coming up for you, but first.
Right now, Pasco County deputies are searching for a man who they say tried to kidnap a little 9-year-old girl.
Now, this all happened yesterday as she was walking home from school. The sheriff just held a news conference, and our very own Avery Cotton was there, joining us now live. Avery, what's the update on all this?
Well, good morning to you both. Talk about a scary situation. The sheriff says the 9-year-old was walking home from Deer Park Elementary School when she noticed a blue car starting to follow her, and one of the people inside the car, she says, actually got out and started chasing her through the neighborhood. Now take a look at this composite sketch. The little girl was actually able to describe one of the men inside that car. Take a good look here to see if he looks familiar to you. Now, she told deputies she lost the man while she was trying to get help, but when she got home, they followed her in a blue car that looks like the one on your screen right now. She says they tried to get her to go into the car, but she ran into her house, locked herself inside her home, and get this, she was smart enough to turn on her home alarm system to kind of scare them away before she called her mother. Now, right now, deputies are out searching for a person of interest who they say looks a lot like the sketch that you see there. His name is Drew Bretnall. Take a listen.
The big thing for us right now, if anybody out there who knows Drew, put it on your social media, put it out there, tell Drew to just come in and talk to us. He's a person of interest, but he may have some critical information that can help us to solve this case.
And the sheriff also says that Drew does drive a car that looks like the one that we posted on the screen there for you just moments ago, and that there's video of him actually driving in that gated neighborhood at the same time the little girl said this happened. So again, he's just a person of interest, but it's really important that the sheriff is able to speak with him. If you know Drew Bretnall or where he is or have any information about them, please give the sheriff's office a call. And of course, we will have an updated story for you coming up later on our later newscast. Stacey, Marco.
Avery, and a good reminder here for all parents to talk to their kids, especially about that stranger danger. This little girl doing everything correctly. Thank you.
Yeah, she went in and, you know,
set off
her own home's alarm system. That's perfect. Let's check in with the weather now and go over to Lee Spann.
You know, it's really been a beautiful morning. Now, it's warming up quickly with not a cloud in the sky. The Lake Club and Lakewood Ranch already 83 degrees, and that humidity is down to 48%. And as the temperature rises for the rest of the afternoon, that relative humidity is going to continue to drop, and that's going to unfortunately enhance our wildfire danger through the afternoon. It's already 87 in Zephyrhills, Tampa, you're 85, 82 in Sarasota, 85 in Auburndale. And the humidity is really going to stay in the not too bad category. We kind of wish we could bump it up a little bit, because then we would have moisture around to create rain, but unfortunately that's just not in the cards for today or really tomorrow. So those red flag warnings will go into effect at lunchtime for all areas away from the immediate coast. And the only reason, again, that the coast isn't under the warnings is because your humidity will stay just a little bit higher. Rain chances out of the forecast today, tomorrow, and Friday. In fact, just a 20% rain chance. That's all we can muster up for Saturday. That's going to help bring our temperatures down a bit from 90 today and tomorrow down to 86 on Saturday, but right back into the upper 80s next week.
I think you lead.
Well, right now, questions about the timing and motivation of President Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey. Capitol correspondent Reed Binion has the latest and a closer look at who could replace Comey.
The FBI is going to answer to the new director.
As shockwaves rock the political world after the firing of FBI Director James Comey, speculation abounds over who will replace him. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani would likely be among the president's top choices, but Giuliani's vocal support for Trump during the campaign and his clear partisan preferences would make Senate confirmation nearly impossible. Then there's New Jersey Governor and former Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie. Like Giuliani, he previously served as a U.S. prosecutor, but also like Giuliani, Christie has a clear partisan bent. One person who could possibly get bipartisan support, former New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, who was mentioned as a possibility for FBI director under President Bill Clinton, a Democrat. Another bipartisan possibility is John Pistol, who held positions in both Democratic and Republican administrations. Perhaps one of the easiest picks for Trump would be Andrew McCabe, currently working as the acting FBI director. Also in question, the future of the FBI's investigation into allegations of collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign in the 2016 election.
I think it is not at all clear that this investigation will continue.
CNN senior political analyst and former federal prosecutor Jeffrey Toobin speaking to concerns about possible conflicts of interest regarding Trump's pick.
It will be someone who is loyal to Donald Trump.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Well, the race for the governor's seat in Florida heating up this morning. The state's current agriculture commissioner, Adam Putnam, is officially announcing his bid for governor in 2018, making the announcement on the steps of the old Polk County Courthouse in downtown Bartow. Putnam, by the way, is a Republican. And still ahead, alarming news about the risks that kids take when riding bikes, scooters, and skateboards.
Kids are by nature accident prone. They get the bumps and the bruises, but are parents missing the mark when it comes to keeping them safe? A closer look at what's not being done to protect them. Plus,
out on the water one day, she got an idea to help women battling breast cancer. I'm Gail Guayardo, and I go fishing for the day with Captain Lori Deaton, who's a great inspiration in helping other women during tough times.